The Turn 4 Perspective. Weekly dirt racing news brought to you by Brooke John Peer.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Turn 4 Perspective. I would like to apologize for the lack of podcasts over the summer and the start of the school season. The main reason being that I forgot my flash drive, which had all of my podcast files on it, such as photos, the intro and outro music, and the basis for the editing process. So I left that at home, so I couldn't get it until I went back for Columbus Day / Indigenous Peoples Day weekend, and I got it then, and then I got busy here at school at St. Bonaventure. But we're back now, and I do have a podcast that is jam-packed full of information because we are winding down with the dirt track racing season, which means that there won't be a lot of episodes coming your way, but this is a continuation of season 2. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. Starting off, we are heading into this episode with the World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series. They had a dual day show this past weekend, which was Friday and Saturday, but each day was at a different track. On Friday, they were at Lincoln Park Speedway, and David Gravel took that race. And on Saturday, they were at Angel Park Speedway, which is very similar to the other one, but that race was taken by Sheldon Haudenschild. Now, there is more about Sheldon Haudenschild and the number 17 later on in this episode, but the significance of this race on Saturday was that the World of Outlaws had not been to this track in over, I believe it was 9 years or 10 years. So it took them that long to get back there, and then they went there and Sheldon Haudenschild won that. But there is some drama coming with the number 17 that is owned by Stenhouse Juniors and Marshall Racing, but we'll get to that later. Moving on to the second of 3 sprint car series that I have for you today, that is High Limit Racing. Now, as of right now, High Limit Racing's 2025 season is officially over. And there is more on that and the announcements that occurred at the banquet later on as well. But we're going to talk about what happened with the racing action starting last Wednesday, which they were at Lucas Oil Speedway to finish off the midweek series, which was their series of where they raced on either Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, or I think they might have had a Monday thrown in there too. But it was a midweek series, and on Wednesday, once again, at Lucas Oil Speedway, they went and they finished that off. Brent Marks won that race, and Rico Abreu won the title of the midweek series. Now, there is a lot more on Rico coming, and we're going to jump right into that because 2 days after that, they were down at Texas Motor Speedway, the dirt track at Texas Motor Speedway, on Friday and Saturday, and Rico won both of the races. But not only that, he clinched the High Limit Racing Championship. Now, mind you, if you don't know who Rico Abreu is, he is a midget. He drives a sprint car, which is a 410 sprint car. It's the big dogs. And he is literally like 4'5", okay? He is this small midget from California, and he kicks ass, and he just won the championship of both the midweek series and the full series, as well as 2 races in a row. That's absolutely insane. Like, how are you doing this, sir? Like, you are insane for this. But anyway, Rico did that. And so Rico was the one that got the big trophies and everything. And at the banquet, he was the winner and everything. But we'll get to the banquet later on. Now, moving on to the final of the 3 sprint car racing series recaps. I'm moving on to the American Sprint Car Series. And they had one race this past weekend, but this race was postponed from June 27th. Because it got postponed due to rain. And they were at Tulsa Speedway. And that race was won by none other than Sam Hafertepe Jr. Now, Sam is not like a major name in sprint car racing, but he's pretty well known, so this is like not a shock to anybody. But he won that. Now, moving out of the sprint cars and moving into late models, we had one series of late models race this past weekend, and that was none other than the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series. And they were at Eldora Speedway on Friday and Saturday. And on Friday, it was more of a qualifying race than an actual race, but that was won by Chris Ferguson. I'm not exactly sure of his time, since I really couldn't find that, but he did clinch the pole for the main race on Saturday. But the main race on Saturday was won by Bobby Pierce for the second consecutive time in a row, and he also bagged $100,000 as well. That comes as no surprise to anybody, because Bobby Pierce is one of the greatest late model drivers of all time. He is very controversial, and he's also, shall we say, one of the figures in dirt late model racing currently, along with Ricky Thornton Jr., which, by the way, we will get into later. But you have to give it to him. Bobby won it for the second year in a row. But moving on to the final class of dirt track racing we have for this week's episode is none other than Big Block Modifieds, which is my personal favorite class, followed by late models. But first up, we have the Short Track Super Series, and they had a 3-day show, which was Friday, Saturday, and Monday at Hagerstown Speedway in Pennsylvania. So Friday was more of a qualifying race than anything else, and that was taken by Brandon Grosso with a lap time of 19.459, which I'm not really big on numbers, but that seems pretty slow to me, actually, because I know at my home track of Ransomville Speedway, like, when the big blocks come, like, they're putting out, like, 15s, low 16s. So 19.4 is a little bit steep in my opinion, but it could be a bigger track. I don't know. But anyway, moving on to Saturday, Matt Shepard won that, which is no surprise at all. And it was also a comeback from Friday, which we'll get to in a minute. And then on Monday, the race was won by Danny Book, which is kind of a shock, but I mean, other people win that aren't necessarily in, the big main series like that. But anyway, Grosso, Shepard, and Book were the Short Track Super Series, and going back to Shepard winning on Saturday, he came from Brockville, Ontario Speedway on Friday, of where he raced with the Super Dirt Car Series. Now, the Super Dirt Car Series is done until the World Finals, which I will be covering. But on Friday in Canada, Matt Williamson won. Now, if you haven't been following the Super Dirt Car Series, you won't know this. But if you have, you know that Matt Williamson won both the 358 from last, basically, and led all 200 laps of the big event at Super Dirt Week. He won both feature events. And he's going to the World Finals with a plan to beat a record that has not been broken since, I believe, 1997, of winning both the 358 class and the big block class as the champion. As a Matt Williamson fan, I hope he does it. I think it's absolutely great if he does it. But can he do it? This is the question. But with him winning on Friday and bagging, I believe it was $20,000, I think he can. I think he has a really good shot at it. And I also think that he should most definitely be able to do that. But anyway, moving on to the most dramatized part of the episode, I guess, and the part that you all have been waiting for is the T section. Now, this goes back to what I was talking about with High Limit, with Sheldon Haudenschild, and with the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series, because they all coincide with each other. But first, at the banquet for High Limit Racing, it was announced that Brad Sweet is officially retiring from full-time competition in sprint car racing. No, Brad Sweet is one of the best sprint car drivers ever. He has such a high record. He has won so many championships, so many races. He's done so much stuff, and he is one of the co-owners of High Limit Racing, actually, which is why he left the Board of Outlaws and went to High Limit. But now that he's retiring, people have been speculating, and it didn't take less than 24 hours before it was announced that Spencer Bayston is going to Sheldon Haudenschild's number 17, which is the World of Outlaws. And Spencer Bayston is currently with High Limit, so he has officially switch series right now. So speculation has been going on that Sheldon Haudenschild is going to be taking over the Kasey Kahne Racing number 49, which Brad Sweet had. There has been no confirmation of this. There has been no talk about this. It has been quiet besides fans just talking with each other. But there is a possibility that Sheldon Haudenschild, now that he has been removed from his ride, is going to Kasey Kahne Racing. And it would make sense because less than 24 hours after Brad Sweet made his very emotional speech at the High Limit Racing banquet, Spencer Bayston, his team, all of the people involved made a post saying that he was going to Sheldon Haudenschild's number 17, which is owned by Stenhouse Jr., which is Ricky Stenhouse Jr., and Marshall Racing. I'm not exactly sure who Marshall is, but that was very quickly. So is Sheldon Haudenschild going to the number 49? This is the question that everybody's asking right now. I don't know. I personally feel like it's a possibility, but I'm not entirely sure. I really do not know. But anyway, moving on to the final piece of tea. The entries for the World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series for the World Finals, which is happening in early November, which is in just a few weeks, have started to roll in. One of the first entries is none other than the number 20 RTJ. Now, if you know anything about racing, you know what the initials RTJ stand for. They stand for Ricky Thornton Jr. Ricky Thornton Jr. is a late model driver, and he has competed in one sprint car race so far, and he didn't do very well. Guess what he's doing? He's going into the World Finals. I don't know what this man is thinking. All I know is that he is going into the World Finals for his second sprint car race. I don't believe he did very well at Eldora because he is a rival with Bobby Pierce and everything. But I think that might have something to do with it. I don't know. RTJ is one of the most, outspoken / crazy characters of dirt racing right now. I'm personally not a fan of the guy because he literally got into a street stock and raced in this big street stock race, and he won. Of course he's going to win. He's a late model driver going against somebody like Corey Sawyer, right? Which I know that if you're not from the Ranceville area, you don't know who Corey Sawyer is. But he was this pretty good race car driver. But he's no Ricky Thornton Jr., right? So I'm not a fan of the guy, but it is interesting to see that he is going into the World Finals like that. So it will be interesting to see what he does and just what pans out from it. Maybe Ricky's going to go into the number 49. Who knows at this point? But anyway, that is all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Once again, I apologize for the lack of the months of no podcasts. I left my stuff at home during move-in, and then I had to go get it, and then I got busy. But from now on, you should be getting a weekly podcast, regardless of info, until the end of the season. And if something big or crazy happens, then I will try to do a short episode of that as well. But that is it for now. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope to catch you in the next episode. Bye.